Yahoo! This is Eito, your resident secret agent in Japan. Today's topic is going to be about where to buy games in Japan. If you're like me, you might be interested in Japan partially because of its games, but even if you're not, you probably want to play something while in Japan. It was never possible to rent games here, so your only choice is to buy. And like anything modern, you now have two options when you buy games. You can go online, or you can go to the store. First, let's talk about online. Have you heard the term region lock? Not all games can be bought in Japan. You might have noticed a lot of online stores are region locked, and what that means is that some games might be more expensive or cheaper, or they might not be available at all in some countries. When you come to Japan, you might run into that issue if you change your online store to Japan like you're supposed to. There are a few games you can only buy if your store is set to Japan, like Idolmaster, a game where you raise idols and play rhythm games at their concert, or some games by the publisher Koei related to history, like Uncharted Water. Not only are those games not available in English, you can't buy them at all outside Japan. Did you know some PC version of games cannot be bought in Japan in English, or even Japanese? This is because some publishers still use an archaic system that doesn't fit the modern world, where they license the rights to sell stuff to a particular country or region. In the past, you need the factories across the world to distribute something, but now, the point of origin is the internet, which can be accessed from anywhere. A single worldwide publisher should be enough. However, if there's no one in charge of distribution for Japan, the game is not sold at all, even if the maker is Japanese. Sometimes this is due to PlayStation exclusivity deal shenanigans. My suggestion for this problem is to have more than one account or to never change your account to Japan, even if you move to Japan. If you do, maybe you can't play some games or can't partake in any sales outside of the Steam store. The second option that you have is of course buying physical copies, which could be for PlayStation, Xbox, or for Switch. At the time of this video, Nintendo and the Switch are very popular, so it's quite easy to find games for those if you go to big electronics stores. PlayStation is also pretty easy to find. Xbox is limited to big chain stores. Big chain electronic stores, such as Yodobashi, Yamada Denki, or Big Camera, don't really change the price of their games, so there's little point in waiting. On the other hand, small stores and stores that sell used games constantly adjust their prices based on a database of prices online. Buying games at those stores is kind of like going bargain hunting at a bazaar, which can be quite enjoyable in itself. You might have experienced buying used games. You'll find that in Japan, buying used games is not a bad experience, unlike other countries. Back in my country, before I came here, I tried buying some used games and was really dirty and barely cheaper, so I always bought new. Like for example, if you went to a game store and then the game was selling for $70, if you buy it used, maybe it's going to be $65. So it's really not worth it for me personally, so I never bought anything used in my country. In Japan, in my opinion, it's quite worth it to buy used because it's barely different than buying new. Codes are often left untouched. A certain segment of the population buy games, rush through them, and sell them back quickly. The reason why you might do that is that if you buy a game for about 7,000 yen and then you finish it 2 weeks later, you could probably sell it for 4,000 or 5,000 yen. Yes, we can get quite a lot of money for some games. For more relaxed people and collectors, prices constantly go down due to this trend. If you're used to buying games on PC, you might notice that some games get quite cheap if you wait a couple of months or a couple of years, depending on the game. Japan is the same thing with a physical copy. And it seems to me that it's mostly governed by how well the reviews are on Amazon. If the game reviews well, it keeps its price for a long time. If it reviews badly, which is less than 3 stars, it has a drop in price pretty quickly, so you can buy these cheap games. If you don't want to buy online, well, there's a couple of stores that are specialized in used goods called recycling here. can buy used things like clothes, furniture, games, or books. I'll talk about some of them now. One of them that I quite enjoy is Gale. It was, and still is, a DVD rental shop, but they also sell new and old games. I find Gale tends to have cheap prices. Another one that's similar is Book Off. The name is probably meant to mean books for cheap, but they sell everything. Sometimes it's a bit more expensive, but one thing that is deceptive is that at Book Off, you don't actually pay sales tax, or if you do, it's included in the price, so in the end the price tends to be similar. Surugaya is a bit harder to find, but they also have deals, and they also sell the whole otaku spectrum of anime, figurines, and games. They might be moving away from selling games though, since the last time I went, I couldn't find any. Softmap and Joshin sometimes have good deals as well. It might be a good idea to shop at all of these stores. They also have an online store. If you can find smaller stores, which used to be quite common, but now rare in the digital age, you can find good deals. I quite enjoy visiting those, but like bookstores, they're slowly disappearing. What if you want to sell your games? Well, one thing to keep in mind about selling games is that if you're very good at taking care of your game in the box, you can get a good price. But if there's any problems with it, it's going to drop the price real quick. So for example, if you're the kind of person who borrows games or who buys games and then doesn't really care about them, leaving them out of the box on the floor, you'll find it really hard for you to sell games. If you do find somewhere to sell it, you might get 1 yen or maybe 100 yen because nobody wants to buy garbage. This is especially true in Japan because people here are quite discerning. So it's good as a buyer, but as a seller you need to be very careful. Another option that I have not used personally is the online auction site called Mercari. It's a site where a user sells to users. I think that the quality of the stuff you buy there might be a bit more random. If you're interested in buying games just to play them and then sell them, it might be good. Personally, I'm quite satisfied buying games at Eito or Book Off. On the topic of games, for the last few years especially, card games are pretty big in Japan due to their prevalence in mobile games. You can see a lot of card game shops like you might have been able to see a lot of small game shops stores in the past. I hope this information was useful for you as a gamer. There's quite a lot more I could say about the topic, so if you do have any questions, please leave them in the comment section, and I might make another video depending on the kinds of questions in there. For a list of Japanese games on PC, you can also check out my curator called Japanese Games on PC. Check out the link below. Thanks a lot for listening, and if you enjoyed my content, please leave a like and subscribe. And I hope to see you again in the next video. Mata ne! Eito deshita.